At family dinner, my dad declared, "Your brother's a provider. Always has been." The room burst into applause. I leaned back and said, "Perfect. Then he can handle the $9,200 credit card balance I've been clearing for him." The golden child nearly choked. I swear I knew something was off when Mom set the dining room table with the good china. That's reserved for Christmas or Easter, or the rare times Ethan decides to bless us with his presence. But this time he'd already been back for 2 months, sleeping in his old room like a 34-year-old high school senior, while everyone around him pretended he was just regrouping. He didn't have a job, didn't have a plan. He spent most of his days at the gym, scrolling Instagram in between sets, or networking at coffee shops, which from what I could tell just meant him scrolling Instagram in a different chair. But somehow my parents still talked about him like he was Moses parting the Red Sea. I hadn't even put my napkin on my lap when Dad raised his glass. "Your brother's a provider. Always has been." I wish I was exaggerating when I say the room burst into applause. Mom teared up. Jenna gave Ethan this sideways look like he'd just donated bone marrow to orphans, and even my uncle, who hasn't clapped for anything since 1998, nodded like he was watching some kind of hero get honored. I didn't clap. I leaned back in my chair, picked up my wine glass and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Perfect. Then he can handle the $9,200 credit card balance I've been clearing for him." Silence. Like someone had unplugged the entire house. Ethan actually choked. Coughing, sputtering, knocking over his Pellegrino like it was lava. Jenna went rigid. My mom made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a denial. And my dad, who never looks surprised, looked like someone just told him the house was on fire. I didn't move. Just sat there while the heat in the room shifted entirely. Let me back up. 6 months ago, Ethan called me saying his startup's funds were frozen. He just needed help for a few weeks. He said he couldn't get approved for a card because of a dumb tax thing and he needed a favor. A simple cosign just to get him through a rough patch. He promised it would never touch me, said I could trust him. By the second month I was getting minimum payment alerts. By the fourth, debt collectors were calling me. Meanwhile, he was flying to Tulum with Jenna and buying essential gear for a hiking trip he never actually took. I paid the balance down every month, hoping it would stop. I kept the statements. I kept the screenshots. I even emailed him twice with the totals, which he never replied to. So that night, while everyone was pretending Ethan had built civilization with his bare hands, I dropped it. Mom tried to wave it off, said I must have misunderstood. I pulled out the envelope I'd brought, laid it in the middle of the table. Jenna reached for it first. She barely got through page 1 before she looked up like she was about to pass out. "Are you seriously doing this here?" "Yeah, I am." Dad stood up like he thought he could put the genie back in the bottle. I looked at Ethan. All that confidence, that smugness, that golden boy shine, gone. "Just panic now. You owe me $9 grand. Start providing." Then I walked out, left my half-eaten salmon on the plate, let them sit with it. They didn't know it yet, but this wasn't just a confrontation. It was a warning shot. And I wasn't done. Not even close. They didn't call me for 3 days after the dinner. Not a single text, not even a fake, "How are you?" It was total radio silence, which in my family only means one thing: damage control. They weren't processing what I said, they were scrambling, trying to figure out how to spin it, how to keep the image intact. On the 4th day, Dad finally texted, "We need to talk. Come over tonight." No explanation, no apology. Just an order. I stared at the message for a while, then tossed my phone on the couch. I didn't reply until 5 hours later with one word: "Why?" He never answered. At exactly 6:03 p.m. I pulled into their driveway anyway. Not because I owed them a damn thing, but because I wanted to see how far the cracks had spread. The moment I stepped inside, I knew I'd walked into a staged intervention. The table was already set, again with the good china. Mom had candles lit like this was a peace summit. Dad was sitting at the head of the table with a manila folder in front of him like he was mediating a merger, not cleaning up his son's financial mess. Jenna stood in the corner of the kitchen with her arms crossed. She didn't look at me. No one said hello. Dad gestured to the seat across from him and I sat without a word. He opened the folder and slid it across the table. Inside was a check. $9,200. Exactly what Ethan owed me. He said they wanted to resolve this like adults. That it was inappropriate to bring up something so personal at a family gathering. I asked him how many times I should have brought it up in private before it became okay to say it out loud. He didn't answer. Mom said Ethan was under a lot of pressure lately, that he was trying to get back on his feet, and that he just made some mistakes. She said he never meant for it to land on me. I asked them if they wanted to see the texts where he ghosted me, the emails he ignored, the purchases he made after I told him I was struggling to cover it. $600 headphones, 2 days shipping on a drone. I told them I kept every receipt. Every transaction. Jenna flinched when I said that. That's when I knew she had no idea it was that bad. Mom tried to pivot, said the important thing was the debt was handled. That we could move forward, now. That's when Jenna quietly walked to the living room, picked up a duffel bag that had been sitting next to the couch and turned to Mom and Dad. He said she was done. That she wasn't going to spend one more night pretending Ethan was someone he wasn't. He said I was right. I didn't say anything. I just watched her leave, stunned at how quiet she was about it. No theatrics, no fight. Just, done. Apparently after the dinner she started digging. Found the same statements I had. Opened his laptop and saw the payments. Saw the apps. The screenshots I'd printed? She'd already seen half of them the night before. Mom looked like she was about to cry. Dad just sat there staring at the check like it was some sort of hostage ransom. He pushed it across the table again. This time I took it. Fully. Not because I was forgiving anything. That check wasn't justice. It was just a receipt. It was the cost of exposure. The first payment for years of pretending I didn't see what was happening in front of me. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I didn't just want my money. I wanted accountability. So I walked out with the check, went straight home and opened a brand new folder on my desktop. Ethan. Cleanup begins. Because the golden boy had cracks now. And next time he tried to bury his mess, he wouldn't be able to do it in the dark. And the next move was mine. 2 weeks. That's how long the silence lasted after they handed me the check. Long enough for them to convince themselves it was over. Long enough for me to start gathering everything. Then came the first crack. A call from a blocked number. I let it ring out. The voicemail was short and pathetic. Just Ethan breathing like he was pacing, and then a muttered line. "You think you're better than me?" Then a hang-up. No name, no explanation. I saved it. The next day, a message popped up on LinkedIn from someone named Tara Holbrook. Didn't recognize the name. But the message made me sit up. "Hi Grace. I hope it's okay, I'm reaching out. I think your brother might have scammed me. Can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. I googled her. He was real. A UI designer. Worked with startups. Nothing sketchy. When I finally replied, she sent me everything. And I mean everything. Apparently, Ethan had joined a women in tech startup circle. Claimed he was building an inclusive fintech solution for underserved communities. Which, translated from Bullsh *T, meant nothing. He pitched it like a feminist tech dream. Hiring all-female developers, giving shares to marginalized creators, donating a percentage of profits to girls in STEM. They fell for it. Why wouldn't they? He had charm, buzzwords, and a track record they couldn't verify because he always blamed NDAs. 3 women signed on. No pay until seed funding, but he promised equity, mentorship, future salaries. Tara had even helped him design pitch decks for investors. Real ones. Then he vanished. Slack gone. Domain shut down. Email accounts wiped. He blocked all 3 women on everything. Tara found me through a reverse image search. Someone had posted an old holiday family photo on Facebook. He saw his name and a tag and went down the rabbit hole. Ended up on my profile. I didn't lie to her. I told her everything. About the credit card, the lies, the check. I asked her to send me every file, every message, every document. She did. I opened a folder and started sorting. 3 days later, Mom showed up at my apartment without warning. I hadn't seen her in person since dinner. She looked thinner, stressed, eyes bagged like she hadn't slept. She didn't ask to come in. She just stood in the doorway and said Ethan had been missing for days. No calls, no texts. Even Jenna had blocked them both. She wanted to know if I'd said anything. Not what did he do, but did I say anything? That's when I realized they still weren't mad at what he did. They were mad I wasn't keeping it quiet. I told her more women were coming forward. I didn't soften it. I told her some of them were building a case. That one of them was considering going to the police. Mom didn't cry. She just went pale and asked me not to make this public. I told her it already was. 2 days later, an anonymous blog post went viral in a local startup community. It told the story of a fake founder who exploited women in tech under the guise of allyship. It didn't name him directly, but the details were too specific. People in the scene knew. One commenter posted a blurry photo of Ethan from a startup mixer. Another posted screenshots. Spiraled from there. I got a message from a woman named Kaylee who said Ethan borrowed $2,000 from her for a quick angel investment opportunity and never paid her back. Another girl, Courtney, let him stay at her place in Santa Monica for a week. He left with her AirPods, a $1,600 laptop, and her Spotify still logged in. I created a shared Google Drive called Ethan Fisher, Digital Trail. I uploaded every file, every message, every recording, every dollar, and then I sent the link to Jenna. She replied within minutes. Let's finish this. I didn't ask what she meant. I just invited her to the folder. The golden boy wasn't just falling apart. He was unraveling. And now, finally, he was running out of people to land on. But I wasn't done. Because karma was only part of the plan. The rest? That was revenge. It started with a tweet. Just one. Someone from the local startup scene replied to the now viral blog post about a fake founder exploiting women and said, "Is this Ethan Fisher?" Took him long enough to get exposed. No tag. No photo. Just a name. But that was all it took. Within the hour, 3 more people replied, confirming it. A few added stories of their own. Small things, shady behavior, weird pitches, disappearing after borrowing money for conference fees. His name was out. Then someone dropped the link to the shared Google Drive. Not me. Not Jenna. It came from inside one of the women's professional groups. Tara had shared it privately with a few others for protection, and one of them thought it should be public. I don't blame her. By the next morning it had 3,000 views. Then 10,000. Someone uploaded it to a Reddit thread titled, "This tech bro scammed women into building his fake startup. Guess who's unemployable now?" Trended. People started adding screenshots of his emails, old pitches he gave at meetups, recycled content from online templates, reused logos. Someone even found a Fiverr invoice where he paid $50 for a fake testimonial video. He had literally paid an actor to say his company helped reduce gender discrimination in fintech. I watched it happen in real time. And I didn't feel joy. I felt cold. Focused. At 11:24 a.m., someone tagged one of the companies he'd recently interviewed with. A medium-sized fintech startup based out of Austin. By 2 p.m. they issued a statement. Following new information regarding ethical concerns, we have rescinded our offer to Ethan Fisher. We stand with the women who have come forward. And just like that, his future evaporated. In broad daylight. Mom called that night. She didn't even try to pretend it was about something else. She said Ethan had shown up at their house 2 days ago. No car. No suitcase. Just a backpack and a broken phone. Said he hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. That he looked destroyed. I asked if he'd said anything to her. Like, sorry. Like, I did it. She said no. Just that he was scared. Then came the ask. Could I take it all down? She said it like I had a kill switch. Like I could just hit delete and reset everything. Like she hadn't spent the last decade covering for him and letting me drown every time he screwed up. I told her I wasn't the one who made it public. That the people he hurt were finally talking, and maybe instead of asking me to clean it up, she should ask him why he burned it all down. She didn't answer. She just started crying. Said their phones wouldn't stop ringing. That people from church were asking questions. That dad was furious and didn't know what to do. I told her I wasn't finished yet. Because I wasn't. 2 days later, Jenna messaged me. She wanted to meet. We sat in a diner down the street from my place. No small talk this time. He looked different. Lighter, maybe even relieved. She handed me something wrapped in a gray hoodie. An external hard drive. She said Ethan kept backups of everything. Business files, emails, contracts, voice notes, everything. She said she found it when she was packing up his stuff after he fled to his parents' house. I didn't open it until later that night. The drive had 49 folders. I opened the one labeled Bridge Loans. And I stopped breathing. It was a spreadsheet. Names, dates, amounts. People he'd borrowed from. Dozens. Family, friends, coworkers, acquaintances, women he dated. One line item just said rideshare driver, $400. Emergency tow, unpaid. He had notes next to each one. Likely won't follow up. Blocked me. No paper trail. Still guilt tripping. And then I saw my name. Grace. $9,200. Cleared, fuck. Next to it, a column marked backstop. Mom. Mom was on there too. Twice. $5,000 labeled car loan, and $2,500 marked miscellaneous she'd known. She funded him while I was cleaning up his mess. She didn't just enable him. She insured him. I sat there staring at the screen, thinking about every time she told me Ethan was just lost or trying. Every holiday I spent biting my tongue while they toasted his latest fake breakthrough. Now I had proof. All of it. It wasn't just Ethan who'd buried me. It was all of them. And I'd been quiet long enough. So I started writing. Not just a drive. Not just a Reddit thread. Not just whispers in private groups. I drafted a full exposé. A timeline. With names, dates, receipts, documents. And this time, it wouldn't be anonymous. Because if the golden boy was going to crash, then the golden family was going down with him. They'd built this image brick by brick. And I was going to dismantle it one truth at a time. The night I finished writing the exposé, I didn't sleep. I had it saved in 3 places. my laptop an encrypted cloud drive, and a backup USB I tucked into an envelope and dropped into my safe deposit box the next morning. I wasn't just protecting a story anymore. I was protecting myself. I hadn't published it yet, but I knew it was coming. Then something unexpected happened. I got an email. Not from Ethan. Not from mom or dad. From an attorney. Subject: potential defamation and privacy violation. It was short, cold, and vague. Said they were aware of materials being circulated that could cause irreparable harm to Mr. Ethan Fisher's reputation and career, and that further distribution could result in legal action. No firm name. Just representing party. I forwarded it to Jenna. Her reply came in all caps. He's using our family friend. This guy's not even a real litigator. She sent me a screenshot of a Christmas photo from 3 years ago. Dad, Ethan, and some guy in a red turtleneck. The lawyer. His name was Alan something. He sold insurance. I called the bluff. Replied with a list of names of the women Ethan scammed. Added a polite line. If Ethan Fisher would like to pursue legal action, we're happy to bring everything into court. I have 62 files ready for discovery. No one replied. Ever. 3 days passed. Then I got a voicemail from Josh, our cousin. The one who always played middleman when things got awkward. He sounded different. Nervous. Said he wanted to talk. That it was important. That he was sorry. We met at a coffee shop. He looked terrible. Sunken eyes, jittery hands, like someone who'd just watched his bank account collapse. Turns out Ethan had borrowed money from him too. $12,000. Told him it was for app development. Said it was a guaranteed 40% return. Josh even roped in one of his friends from work. But the worst part? Josh hadn't told anyone. Not even his wife. And now his friend was threatening to sue him for fraud. I told Josh about the spreadsheet. About the line that said Josh. Probably fold if cornered. And Josh laughed. Not a real laugh. Just the kind people make when they're realizing too late they were a pawn. That same night the surprise came. Not from Ethan. From Dad. He showed up at my door. Alone. No warning. No mom. Just him. He looked old. Like all the years of denial had finally caught up to his face. Said he wanted to talk. Said he'd read the blog post. Then he handed me an envelope. Inside was a check for $15,000. I asked what it was for. He said, to cover whatever else Ethan did. I don't want to know. I didn't take it. I told him it wasn't about the money anymore. Never really was. It was about the fact that he let me bleed for years while Ethan thrived off lies. That he looked me in the eye a dozen times while I was drowning and asked me to understand. He said he didn't want this to go on forever. I told him that was the first honest thing he'd ever said to me. Then I told him something else. That I was publishing the expose. That it was already scheduled. He didn't try to stop me. He just nodded. Said, do what you need to do. And then he left. 2 hours later I got a text from Mom. Just 2 lines. We're cutting ties with Ethan. Please don't publish. It's over. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because the story wasn't just Ethan's. It was mine. And for the first time in my life I was going to make sure it was heard. By everyone. The expose went live at exactly 9:01 a.m. on a Monday. I scheduled it the night before. Double-checked the links, the attachments, the backup folders, the screenshots. Triple-checked the tone. Factual, not emotional. Precise, not bitter. No dramatic monologue. Just truth. The headline was simple and surgical. The Golden Child. A family's silence, a brother's lies, and the cost we all paid. It started with the $9,200. Then unfolded everything. His web of scams, the unpaid women who built his fake startup, the money trail across state lines, the bridge loan spreadsheet with 46 names and growing. I named names. Not out of spite, but because silence is how people like Ethan survive. I didn't embellish a word. By 9:47 a.m. it was on Reddit. By noon, it had been shared on Twitter, Medium, 2 LinkedIn threads, and a private Facebook group for female founders where someone captioned it. We always knew there was a guy like this. We just never had proof. Until now. It was shared over 70,000 times in less than 24 hours. By 4 p.m., someone from a podcast I'd never heard of messaged me asking if I'd be willing to talk about surviving narcissistic family systems and systemic financial abuse. I didn't respond. I didn't want to become the face of anything. I just wanted people to know. And they did. They knew. That night, the silence from my parents finally broke. They didn't call. They didn't text. They emailed. We've read what you published. We are deeply hurt by your decision to make private matters public. For now, we believe it's best to end all contact. That was it. No acknowledgement of what Ethan had done. No regret. No mention of the women. No ownership. Just, we're done with you. I didn't cry. I stared at the screen for maybe 5 seconds. Then I archived the message and muted their addresses. I'd already turned off voicemail from their numbers. I didn't want closure. I wanted silence, and I finally had it. Ethan vanished. I don't know where he went. Someone said he tried to delete all his socials, but it was too late. The internet never forgets. A few of the women filed small claims. Some got partial payments. Some didn't. But they were connected now, supporting each other, holding space, sharing receipts. Jenna joined them. She and one of the designers he burned started a small agency. Real work, real clients, real integrity. She even offered me a referral bonus if I knew anyone who needed branding. That made me laugh. Josh, the cousin he scammed for $12,000, called me a week later. Said he told his wife everything. Said it was a rough conversation, but they were working through it. He thanked me. Said, "You saved me from giving him even more." But the real surprise came a few weeks after everything had died down. I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a folded sheet of paper. No signature. Just 7 words. "I should have protected you. I'm sorry." It was Mom's handwriting. I didn't know what to do with that. It didn't undo anything. It didn't fix the years of silence, the way they made me the villain when I wouldn't protect Ethan's lies. But I kept it. Not because I forgave her, but because it reminded me I wasn't crazy. That someone finally saw it, even if too late. The golden child wasn't just exposed. He was over. And with him, the version of me that played along, stayed quiet, swallowed rage in exchange for peace. She was gone too. They cut me off. And it was the greatest gift they ever gave me. Biz now. I live clean. I live honest. I live loud. And I never clean up after liars anymore.